What makes a good support? Is it running your teammate a heal? Maybe it's staying on sentry to waste the killer's time. Or even making your teammates unkillable. Maybe it's trying to get a fucking trap in the right spot. Come on! Gah! Let's talk about this. At this point, I would usually go over his abilities and what he can do, but instead, I'll just skip that and go over what's bad about him. Let's start off with his tripwire. What's bad about that, you may be asking? Well, for starters, it's not a threat, realistically. The best time for his tripwire to take action is when the killer is really low on stamina and they're really close to getting a survivor, because that little slowness too could make a difference. Otherwise, it's basically useless, because the killer can just stand still and not wait the whole thing. If a killer sees it, you can pick with a normal M1, so making it extra long isn't worth it. So the most optimal way to have a tripwire is around a corner in a very short spot, or just in a doorway in general. Now, how would I personally change this? I wouldn't, honestly. The thing about this is that, like, it's such a weird spot for him, because if you buff it to make something like it takes 2 hits to break it, then he's not better than Builder Man and makes him the best support in the game. But if you try to nerf it, then it's just even worse than it already is. So I think in its current state, it's probably the best. Let's go with his next move, which is Trip Mine, which honestly, in my opinion, it might be his best ability in the entire kit. And despite that, it's still somewhat weak. And it's due to a couple factors. First factor being that it's very easily avoidable and you can easily break it on accident with some characters. Most of the time you place your trip mine in a spot that could help your team out, it's also probably going to get broken a lot of times because the killer is just tossing in a general direction and it'll hit it. So I think one change could be that it has a little more HP so that killers can just accidentally break it. The next factor is how inconsistent it can be to place a trap where you want it to go, which for a trapping type of character is the worst thing to have a trap be inconsistent of where it wants to go. The reason why it's inconsistent is because you can either throw it really far away from you or really close. And of course, if you're up against the wall and hugging it and throwing against the wall, it will let it be closer to you, right? But even sometimes it won't. So you're being on the Roblox physics to actually go in your favor to either go to the spot where it wants to go and not way overboard or way too close to you. And the change that I personally would want to try and eliminate this issue is to be able to change how far a little goes based on where your camera is. Basically, if you're looking straight up, it'll go straight up in the sky. If you're looking a little ahead, it'll go in front of you. And if you're looking straight down, it'll go right at your feet. This way, it'll at least somewhat remove the RNG aspect of how far your trip mine will go. Now, I'm hoping the devs are doing something like this as a buff for Taph, because his recent buffs has been nothing but numbers and not changing the mainline issue of him. The issues aren't really how long his slowness is or how much health you get. It's most the fact that, like, how easily countable he can be against a lot of the killers. I'll use another slowest character as an example, Deucecar. He gets slowness 2 on hit with his plasma beam. However, there's a lot less risk that goes along with it. And countering it is also not as easy as a killer. You have to be pin perfect with one of your abilities to counter it. So the counterplay to Deucecar is to pay attention and always have eyes on where he is and what abilities he might have. The counterplay for Taph, though, having eyeballs and decent headphones. Remember, Taph traps aren't fully invisible, just somewhat. So if you can at least somewhat see them based on the lighting and everything else, then you can break them pretty simply. Not to mention, a lot of Taphs put the tripwires in the same spots, so if you go over it one time, then it'd be smart to just preemptively swing over it the next time. And most of the time, you'd be right. The problem with Taph's trip mine is that you can't use it to body block as a Taph player, because if a killer hits it, he only gets subspace 1, but you get helpless and subspace 3 when you're in next to it. So it feels weird that you're getting the full effect of it, while the killer is getting basically nothing of it. And it's not just me who wants these buffs. I asked my community what they like about Taph and if they think he needs buffs or nerfs. And a large majority of them said he needs buffs, and the biggest buffs they want are for his trip mine. And I think this comment right here summarizes exactly what we kind of need for Taph. Something to make his traps as much of a nuisance as Builder Man's turret. Crazy is supposed to be the trap guy, which M1 wants, or throw a projectile, and his whole game plan is gone. All in all, it can be really strong if the killer's paying attention, but Builder Man's turret just does what Taph does, but better. And that's kind of the issue, is that Taph's entire game plan, entire kit, is basically the equivalent to Builder Man's one ability. Because the difference between Builder Man and Taph is that Taph's traps, can lock an area down. However, it's a lot less of a nuisance because you can just break it instantly, whereas Builderman's Sentry can genuinely lock down an entire area and force the killer to go break it. And because you need 2 slashes to break a Builderman's Sentry, it wastes a lot more of the killer's time to actually go hit it. Now what can us Taph players do? Well, we can beg that they make some changes to him, and it's not, you know, just numbers like it's been most of the time. But other than that, I've got nothing else to say for this video. Sorry it's kind of somewhat short, but like, this is something I kind of wanted to get out because it's supposed to be my last Forsaken video. I know, the Forsaken guy is done with Forsaken, crazy stuff. It's just the fact that I wanted to move on to bigger projects and different games besides this. And if you saw my post, I just don't want to be posting this game and only this game. Now I already have a feeling that because I'm posting something different, I'm probably going to fall off a bit. But you know what? I'm willing to take that risk in order to play games that I actually enjoy. So with that being said, look forward to games with a lot more effort and quality put into them. So with that being said, I hope you so much enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.